Okay, so sorry about the abrupt interruption there. Welcome to part two of what the fuck was I talking about before that scammer caller fucking ah. It's a 504 number. It's a 504 number. What the fuck is a 504 number doing calling scams? Like, just the sheer number of calls I've been getting, scam calls, um, since the quote unquote election, okay, from New Jersey and from New York, and now from New Orleans since the inauguration. It's fucking amazing. Are there any ways I'm not being targeted? Only ways that would fail to yield consequences for them, I suppose. I often wonder why they haven't just came and taken me out yet. I suppose that's wise of them, considering it wouldn't go very well. So that's not, that's more risk than they'd be willing to take. If that were to go poorly, it could connect back to them. So, I try to remain as isolated and secure as possible. It must be very annoying. But anyways. And where is it that I should be? Is there any place that if you assume that you're taking it metaphorically and then try to take it literally, could you come up with a location for the counselor, for the teacher, in the end times? This is partly a joke. Okay, don't take me too seriously, but have fun trying to ignore the coincidence. And he shall lead his sheep unto, or he shall call his sheep unto, or he shall summon his sheep unto, depending on which version of the Bible you read. Version. Translation. No, not translation. Version. People rewriting shit that was already translated. Not even translated well. Two is a preposition. Ooh. So you have a location. He's calling them to. He's leading them to. A metaphor? Maybe. Can anybody who's been to Sunday school complete the scripture? He shall call his sheep unto slaughter. Oh, but that's proof of the rapture, when Jesus is supposed to come back and float on the clouds, and we're all going to go float up with him. And everything that we've failed to do for ourselves, he's going to do for us magically. Because we deserve it. As you can see, think you fucking elected Donald Trump and you deserve that? Slaughter. Louisiana. It's a place. Preposition. To. Slaughter. Louisiana. Place. A place with a zip code. The zip code is 70777. Oh. Did I move here on purpose? In any way? In any way? No. We literally moved here on accident. I've told this story in previous videos. Basically, we were planning on moving one place. That place screwed us over, and we wound up in a U-Haul at my mom's house for 3 days. And one of her friends, somebody, saw the sign on this street at random when they were driving around. This isn't even in the same town as where my mom lives. This is an hour and a half away from where we plan to move. That's on the other side of Baton Rouge, between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. We're north of Baton Rouge in central Louisiana now, in the heart of Acadian territory. Which in itself is very interesting. You see, Acadians are remnants of a deposed royal dynasty that went from the Persiatic Hebrew areas of North Iraq and the Caucasus and all the way through the Caspian Sea, Afghanistan, to France. Now, if you've ever heard of a story about a young lady named Esther, these would be her descendants. One of them you may have heard of as well. Mary Magdalene. The reason why they had to stop her wedding was because it would have unified two deposed ancient royal houses and would have allowed them to regain power at the time where Rome had fell 2,000 years ago. And the line of kings was called the Acadians. Okay, A-K-K-A-D. Now we have the Acadians, the A-C-A-D-I-A. Same place, same story, same history. Just go back a little further, and you figure out what the East has been hiding from us since they took half of Europe. Oh, but the King James Bible is... No, wait a minute. The King James Bible was written in the 1600s. So, after the conquests, after we lost half of Europe, after we lost the Middle East, after basically most of the world had been burned, that's when we get what's left of our book. Okay, just remember that. One of the reasons why this whole story is so important is because without this story, you can't defend the present state of the Bible. You can't. Stop trying. You failed. Look at your country. That's the result of your failure. Okay? Without the truth that I have revealed, you cannot save yourselves. If I had not determined this to be true, I would not bother flapping my fucking gums. Because in addition to just the basics of when people come and ask you why your Bible is like this, why is it so hard to understand? Why does it have seeming contradictions? You failed to answer because you don't know. You never turned around and looked for yourself to see your footprints in the sand. And you assume that I still walk in them with you. You are lost, and I will not go down such a path. I'm here, and that is more than enough. And it's, frankly, becoming more than I can endure. I see with eyes the same way you do. I feel with a body that's aching and old and broken. And you expect me to wave my magic wand? This is for spiritual things that are intruding on reality. You are where you belong. You're just kind of fucking it up. See, I think I did not finish a tangent that I started to go on. Let's see where was I at. In addition to just basic defense of what it is that you believe, and I've please watch my previous videos on Old Covenant and New Covenant, okay? Because that's the basic, fundamental building block of how to defend believing in the Bible. It's the basic, fundamental reason that Christianity is founded on. The difference between Old Covenants and New Covenants. It's what civilization itself was founded on. The difference between Old and New Covenants. The New Covenant is what gave us what we now consider to be civilized society. You know, that thing that's very rapidly starting to fade away because we've forgotten the New Covenant. Christians especially forgot the New Covenant. They forgot the difference. And this whole right-wing ideology, guess what? That comes from the Old Covenant. You need to update your app. But in addition to that, I just want to stress that. It's very important. Look at what's going on now. Okay? This Trump and all of his associates, they're from the East. And many of them will say they're like Jews, that they're among the Jews, that they're one of the Jews. But they're not. You can't be a Jew if you don't believe in God. You can't be a Hebrew. You can't, you're just a Semitic person or a Caucasian person. You're not a Jew. Last I checked, Jewish was a faith, not a race. In modern context, see, I can learn. What is Putin? Is he a Christian? Sure doesn't act like one, does he? Well, Trump claims to be a Christian. Putin claims to be a Christian. Clearly, neither one of them are. Putin kind of looks a little Jewish, little Polish, hmm? A little almost Asian, doesn't it? A little bit. Not really much telling what he is there? What the fuck is Donald Trump? I mean, like shaved orangutan. But like what? Is he a Hun? He's got the look of a Hun. He's got the look of someone who's part Asian. Now, just, in case anybody's a moron, I just want to point out I'm not a racist person. I love diversity. I'm kind of the one who made it that way. But facts are facts. And you have a Mongol, Donald Trump. That's what Putin is. That's what Trump is. That's what Manafort and that supposed English guy. That's what these people are. They're Mongols. That's why their faces look the way they do. That's why they have the frog-like. Oh, oh, Mongol. They're slave races, bred to serve the horde. There's nothing wrong with that. Except for when you factor in that the KKK endorsed them and that all these racist white people are Trumpers. Really? You think a Mongol and the Mongol he works for are going to, what? Protect the white race? They're not white. That's hilarious. Because that's what "Make America Great Again" means. It means make America white again. That's the way the people who bought it thought it was being sold to them. Okay. And Trump, he dyes his fucking hair blonde, always has, and he's 70 years old, still dyes it blonde. He's trying to bullshit you. Okay. His fucking skin is orange. What color would it be if you didn't use the fucking spray tan? Kind of looks like it'd be yellow to me. That's why the spray tan makes him come out so orange. He's an old Asian guy. Make America great again! How fucking stupid is that? But it gets deeper than that, babies. It's way deeper than that. I've told you this. I've proven this. Photographically, videographically. And through cause and effect tests that played out as these videos were posted, okay? And it's really like, I recommend binge watching this channel just to understand. Like, watch a video, find the date, and then look up what happened. Okay? You'll see who I am and why I'm here. At the very least, God chose to confuse me for a reason. And I remain constantly skeptical and constantly um, observant of myself in that regard. But the evidence I've collected thus far forces me to persist and resist. Because I see white people. I'm mostly white, so, I want y'all to be okay, right? Obviously, I think I kind of beat around the bush in pointing out that this nation was formed as a result of that half conquest of Europe. Okay, this land is mercy manifest. And we came here with black people, with Hebrews, to escape the horde. And the horde sold us, black people, and the horde chased more Jews here. Were both of those groups infiltrated? Surely African American associations have been infiltrated by Islamist and communist coordinated groups. And surely we have many Russians claiming to be Polish or Jewish who have been college professors and psychiatrists and doctors who have slowly brainwashed our faith away. Even people who say they are Christians, they've been told so many things, have been shown so many things so repetitively that it's almost impossible to actually have faith. Not that pure faith of consciousness that you were taught could exist when you were little. But that's okay. Because faith is a verb. Faith is when you realize the truth and you act on it. Because if you're not willing to act on something, you don't believe it. Belief isn't a brainwashed state. Belief isn't total control of your mind in submission to God. Okay? That's impossible. Belief is realizing the difference between right and wrong and making the choice to act on it, even if there's consequences. That's faith. If you believe something, choose to believe in it. You're allowed to have doubts. Everybody has their doubts. Without your doubts, your beliefs couldn't be tested. If you could just maintain a constant state of perfection, there would be no reason for you to exist. There is no point in immortality because it's a circle. Anyways, so getting more into modern context, the combined horde and caliphate is very relevant once again, and also centering around Georgia, around the Gorgonian territories where the Persiatics were chased from, the Akkadians were chased from. Because now you have, and I've documented, like I said, I've proven this on previous videos. Sorry to work my way back to my tangent again. Um, this Islamic extremism thing in general, okay, not just what's going on in Iraq and Syria now, or Syria now, but before that, Russia's been behind it. Okay, Russia was behind the deployment of the Islamic State. Okay, they were just kind of, it was kind of like a good cop, bad cop tactic, pincer, if you will, against the rebels, against the moderates in Syria. Like, I mean, seriously, are you fucking stupid? Like, if you're disagreeing with me right now, I'm asking you, are you fucking stupid? I mean, like, do you just believe what you're told, or do you ever bother to actually think for yourself? Putin has supported Assad for a very long time. Russia has supported Syria historically. Okay, as far back as we know, Russia and Syria have been connected through Crimea and Tartarus. Okay, or Tartus, excuse me, Tartarus and Tartarus. Crimea used to be the place where slaves were made. It was like hell. Okay, now when the moderates started opposing Assad, who did Russia stop supplying Assad because he was barrel bombing his own people? No, we tried to get their cooperation. We tried to treat Russia with respect. We really did. Okay? They have not respected us. They have not respected anything but their own fucking greed. So then you had, while this whole thing is going on, Putin decides to invade Ukraine. Okay? And brief version of what I've taught and proven and documented and videotaped and photoed and all kinds of stuff on this channel and on Twitter, is the downing of MH17 over East Ukraine by the separatists. Okay? By Russians. I mean, with a Russian fucking anti-aircraft piece that was manned by Russian soldiers, driven from Russia into East Ukraine. They shot the fucking thing down, and then they drove it minus the missile on videotape, minus the missile, back across the border into Russia. Okay? Killing 278 people. Within 48 hours, Mosul fell. And I'm sure most people thought, like they were told the thing. Coincidence. Okay. But, I mean, this is a big jiggly butt. A couple weeks before that, there's a guy named Kadyrov. He runs Georgia or Chechnya, whatever you want to call it these days. Whatever you kids are calling it these days. And he is Putin's boy, going all the way back to instigating and then assisting the Serbians in Yugoslavia. Yeah. That right there in my opinion, the Yugoslavia conflict is how Putin consolidated power. Because understand this, cute little Westerners. Oh, you're so innocent and naive. It's special. Fucking tedious. It's fucking tedious. That's what I mean by special. To gain power in the Horde, okay, think of it like gaining power in the Mafia. It's not you were born into this. It's not you were voted into this. It's not you networked and, your friends became more powerful than other people's friends. No. Conservatives, Christians, if there are any left, please hear me. These are the princes of principalities. If you want to understand the Horde, think of it like Mafia. If you've read Frank Peretti, think of it in terms of strong men, demon princes. Because when Obama said strong men, Christians, he was using play on words because he's read Frank Peretti. And what you don't seem to be aware of, the reason why I know he's a Christian is because he acted on faith. Because he acted like a Christian. How many of you were? No, it's the new covenant, not the old covenant. Don't act like Jews, right? Because if you're going by the Old Testament instead of the new covenant, you're acting like a Hebrew. Gay people and shellfish, that's all. Hebrew. Anyway. The way to gain power in the Horde is by having power. Okay? Leverage. Plans. The ability to actually do things. Do not ever reach a point where you think that you are not underestimating Vladimir Putin. As smart as you could possibly think he is smarter. Okay? As much as you think he could do, he can do more. Except Kung Fu. He's clearly too old to actually do Kung Fu. He needs to. No. He's a hacker. You understand that? Vladimir Putin is a hacker. Vladimir Putin is a computer technological genius who outsmarted our entire fucking team of internet creators and securers. And more than that, he has basically channeled the spirit of the god of war. He has. See, there's. In false religion that was spread up until 2012, there was the idea that somebody could earn the status of Christhood. Okay. No. That's a Roman Mars worship idea. Okay. You can, in ancient war structure, ancient horde structure, gain power simply by your. Oh, God. Fish is in the wrong place. Why just deposit? Had a fish jump from one side of the divider to the other, into Tatsuki and Kenny's space. So had to get him out of there and back into the other side of the bottom tank down there. So that was interesting. Not really, but exciting. Um. Anyways, all right. So I think I was in Syria and in just recent history was what I was talking about. And so Kadyrov, Putin's very good friend. They had even played like they were enemies right before the election. When people started talking about him, they suddenly started playing like they were enemies. Now they're friends again, of course. Don't believe what you're told. Think. God gave you a brain. Use it. Please. um, he deployed and had rallied. You can find the video. Kadyrov rallying 20,000 troops. Russian Islamists. Okay. Understand Russia controls a lot of Islamic territory. Okay. And these guys all swore allegiance to Putin and then screamed all out aluminum achy barns 3 times. On video, you can see it yourself. Putin. 3 times. That's the savior of the white people. Let's get those guys working for him. Good job. Morons. Like, I'm sorry, you're morons. Admit being morons, then you can stop being morons. Huh? You can sit there like little fucking schoolgirls and be like, oh, he called me a moron. I'm not going to listen to what he says anymore. Or you can stop being a moron. Huh? Because it gets even deeper than that. Putin wasn't just behind the Islamic State. Think back a little further. Putin was behind Assad. Assad was the one supplying the Baathists. The Baathists became who? AQ in Iraq? So Putin was supplying who? Al-Qaeda. Yes, I have to use code words for some things so I don't get too flagged, you know? Putin, through Assad, supplying. So, if you are a strategic thinker, if you are in any way a prepared type person, you would automatically be thinking, wait a minute. Why did we go to Iraq in the first place? We got intel. And Donald Rumsfeld wouldn't name the source of the intel. But George Bush could see into Putin's soul. And then we invaded Iraq. Starting to see where that's going. Did we get tricked into getting bogged down in Iraq, as it were? Regardless of whether or not we got tricked, once we got there, the Baathists, who had previously done business directly with Russia, by the way, started getting their supplies through Assad. And if you don't believe that for some reason, go look at a fucking map, will you? Okay? Baghdad, Fallujah, Anbar province, Damascus. Okay? And there's a road. It goes straight between them. Okay? Anbar province, Fallujah, Damascus. Okay? And it's not coincidence that those are the places that were having all the problems. It's because of the proximity. It's because that's where the supplies were coming from. Understand? You can listen to what you're told, and that may or may not be true, but you can't argue with logistics and the way shit actually plays out in reality. And the way this played out in reality is that where all the bombs and shit were being planted on the side of the road, where all the RPGs and all the terrorists had all the ammo and everything they fucking needed, I'm sure they stole some from somewhere in here and there, okay? But Russians have historically done that to cover their fucking tracks for where their shit really comes from. They did it in Ukraine too. The road leading out of Baghdad through Fallujah. It's very apparent road. There's not a whole lot of other roads that go this long distance. Okay, this is the only road in that direction. And it goes through the entire troubled area of Anbar province to Damascus, where Mr. Batshit Assad has been supplying them with ways to kill Americans and hundreds of thousands of Iraqi civilians. So regardless of whether or not we got tricked into going there, Putin, your great fucking white savior, Putin, was supplying what was killing our troops. Do you think he didn't know that? It's fucking Putin we're talking about. So there's a possibility that he tricked us into going into Iraq to begin with, that he stoked George Bush's paranoia of Saddam Hussein. Possible. Very likely, even. But there is absolutely no denying, and actually this has been covered. Okay? I'm just saying, if you don't believe credible intelligence sources, if you don't believe credible journalists who hold each other accountable, and you just think they're the media, look at a map. Look at the fucking timeline. Look at what actually happened. Look at the logistics of the situation. Because if you look at the lines in the sand, you know what happened on the battlefield. And that's what happened. Putin's puppet, a satellite state of the Soviet Union, was fighting a proxy war in Iraq against us. That's what happened. The Cold War never ended. But like I said, you can keep going back further. Oh, yes. If you have the courage. If you dare to know what you have every reason to not want to know. I mean, I understand completely with not wanting to know this. Unfortunately, for you and I, it's true. Putin supported Al's Queso Shop. In 2005. It's 4 years after 9/11. Re-elected himself on his ability to fight terrorists while funding terrorists. Terrifying terrorists. Sorry, I had an Ahmed moment. Thank you, Jeff Dunham. Now, immediately, you are programmed to think, well, the CIA was behind the Taliban. No, that's stupidity. Yeah, that's just not even close to factually correct at all. We got told that a lot. I know, I got told that too. I believed it for a while. Okay? Here's the deal. The CIA was involved in Afghanistan with the Mujahideen. Okay? That translates to Fighters for God. Seems nice. Whatever. But when the Soviets left Afghanistan, we, we had very minimal influence to begin with. We had a political party that we had helped, and they got, you know, power, and then they lost it. Okay, the political group that the CIA helped establish in Afghanistan after the Soviets left, or as the Soviets were leaving was not the Taliban. After the Soviets left, and then after we thought everything was okay, then the fucking Taliban took it over from them. Okay, so understand what happened here. The Soviets leave. Oh, no, we're going away now. And then somebody else comes in and invades with AK-47s and Russian tanks. Again, are you a moron? Stop being a moron. So the Soviet Union, then the Russians, Putin's regime, the KGB, Putin's pride and joy, was behind the Taliban. Okay? Behind the Taliban before you know what. And behind AQ in Iraq after you know what. Oh, but he was the first one to call on 11/9, 9/11, 11/9, 11/9. All of this has happened before. And it will happen again if you don't wake up.